Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. For a long time, the United States has always maintained the idea of primacy in the international community, and has been hesitant to break free from the century-old fantasy of polarization. To sustain its grandeur in today's economic globalization, to keep its own brilliance when technology has become the key production force, the United States continues to alter its rules, with a special emphasis on limiting Huawei's expansion. In today's economic globalization, when certain nations alter, it causes worldwide upheaval. The implications of the United States' restrictions on Huawei have now arrived. It appears that US chips are not for sale. So, why does limiting Huawei's development have such a significant impact? Is it feasible that the United States, which has already tasted bitter fruit, would cancel the adjustment of Huawei's guidelines in the next days? American chips are unmarketable. The United States has banned Huawei shipments since it amended its standards. In reality, there are two chain effects. One example is the rise in chip foundry prices. According to IC Design Company's sources, on April 18, although the present chip foundry factories have essentially boosted their pricing, and their offerings have hit an all-time high, even these chip foundries appear to be aiming to freeze quotations rather than lower costs. Furthermore, according to Digitimes, TSMC CEO Wei Zhijie recently stated on the company's earnings conference call that even if the economy is in a slump, there would be no price cuts. Customer orders are the second factor to consider. Tianfeng Securities analyst Guo Mingqi recently stated on social media that my country's top Android mobile phone firms had slashed orders for around 170 million units this year. As a result, according to a Business Times story, after the Qingming festival in a few years, there has been a wave of smartphone sales, with the Xiaomi mobile phone accounting for more than 30% of the sales. This flood of reducing orders shows no signs of abating. Of course, in such a case, the chip providers, i.e., the merchants that push chips into the consumer market, are the ones who suffer the most. Customers decrease orders here, and OEMs boost pricing. Many individuals may be perplexed after hearing so many chain reactions. Is this related to Huawei's decision to limit free shipping? Why does restricting Huawei have such a knock-on effect? First, banning Huawei undermines international cooperation. In reality, these chain reactions are directly tied to Huawei's free shipments being restricted. Is there a valid cause for the US to limit Huawei shipments? Actually, not at all. In 2019, the United States explicitly prohibited free Huawei shipment from worldwide producers, and Huawei Kirin became silent. The US is directly restraining Huawei in this manner, and it may be unable to repeat the trick in the future. No, it has lately employed the same tactic against Russia. Restricting Huawei would surely make other enterprises throughout the world unhappy, and faith in international collaboration will suffer. As a result, some people want to reduce their reliance as much as possible, leading to the behavior of cutting orders, while others want to make a lot of money despite the fact that there is nothing to prevent it from becoming unsustainable in the event of an accident, leading to the existence of price increases. There will be a chain reaction, and the chip will be unable to be sold. Second, limiting Huawei has helped the world realize the value of independence. The United States' sanctions on Huawei have helped many enterprises throughout the world realize the value of independence. After all, despite the United States' foolish embargo, Huawei has yet to accomplish the restoration of the monarch. As a result, Alibaba self-developed E10, whereas Xiaomi self-developed Surging, and many non-chip firms have launched on the path of self-research, and inevitably, there will be an influence of decreasing orders. Restricting Huawei will have a similar effect. In reality, it appears to be logical. So, what sort of negative impact will this have on the US? The United States' limitations on Huawei eventually damaged the company. First, the US chip stockpile is set to bottom out, which will have an impact on US technological development. According to a story in China Daily, the US Department of Commerce revealed the findings of a study of around 150 semiconductor businesses worldwide on January 27 of this year. According to the study results, by the end of 2021, each semiconductor company's chip inventory will only be there are around 5 days left. Chip foundry prices have climbed once again today. When a consequence, as chip inventory in the United States shrinks day by day, the great demand for American technology and its continuing development may be unaffected. Second, U.S. corporations control the majority of the global semiconductor industry, which has an impact on U.S. economic interests. According to the most recent IC Insight study on April 17, American companies hold the largest proportion of the worldwide semiconductor market. How tall is it? Directly achieved 54% American companies have such a large market share in the global semiconductor sector. Today, because of the rise in foundry prices and customer orders for global chips, the development of American chips, particularly the growth of economic interests, may be unnecessary. A significant influence in today's globalized economy, the United States rewriting of Huawei's laws would ultimately damage others. So, now that the United States has tasted the bitter fruit, is it conceivable for it to relax in the future? Is it feasible that the United States will stop modifying chip rules in the future? In reality, I believe that the United States will continue to limit Huawei. Zhang Zhengmo, the founder of TSMC, was asked to lecture at the Brookings Institution on April 17 of this year. Furthermore, the United States lacks the skill pool required to expand and flourish. Zhang Zhengmo continues to feel that the United States lacks a full chip industrial chain and that development is challenging. Could the US have been unaware of the situation? Impossible, but is it feasible that the United States just does not care? It is not feasible. As a result, in the absence of a full chip industrial chain, the United States will not relinquish its position in the semiconductor business. Huawei is another aspect that the US will not let go of. As we all know, Huawei created Hongmeng and Euler under the updated restrictions of the United States. Huawei's 5G technology has made further worldwide advances. It struck agreements with Brazil and Turkey on March 4 and 5, respectively. In summary, I believe there is an issue with global chip supply. This is the outcome of the US altering the restrictions on Huawei and limiting its exports. However, don't get too carried away. Although the United States suffers from its own bitterness in the field of high-end technology, Huawei's great strength has partially influenced the United States' taste as the first in technology. To minimize the strain of competition, the United States should be unable to cease altering the rules. I also anticipate that my country's Huawei will accomplish greater domestic self-research in high-end technology, and that China's manufacturing will once again be at the top of the world. Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.